So if you can all stop doing whatever you're doing, look up here because we got new material and you really want to not miss this. We're going to use it all year. We're definitely learning the basics that matter for everything. Okay, so last time we learned about strings a little bit, and we even used dot length and uppercase and two lowercase, right? Somebody nod. Yeah? Okay, awesome. And here's an example. I made a string called Friday. It's called sample that contains the word Friday. And if I print the length, I get 6. Although it would say length and then 6. And then uppercase, it gets uppercase. Okay, so please be careful with uppercase, two uppercase and two lowercase. The U and the C are capitalized. I see that error a lot. I mean, it won't even run if you don't. So that's a common error. Okay, so now we've got these 5 methods that we're going to learn today. So they're probably new for most of you. We're going to do them one at a time, starting with index of. So here's the deal, everybody. A string, every character in a string has an index value. And I laid out the string good morning right here for you. The first character is always character 0. And the last character is always the length minus 1. So good morning has 12 characters in it. And the index values of these characters they go from 0 to 11. So if you ever need to figure out what index a character is, you can write the word down and you can write 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 underneath it, or above it. And then you can say, oh, I'm looking for character 7, I mean, that's if you're doing a little project. Spaces count as characters, punctuation, anything in there counts as a character. August asked last time, and it was a great question. What about when you use the // if you're putting a / character in, or a /n or /t? Those count as one character, even though it's literally 2 characters when you type it. Like if you're doing a new line character /n, that only counts as 1 character. But everything else counts if it's there, like a space. Look, the space is index 4. So index of searches for whatever you're asking it to search for, and it tells you where that thing starts in a string, or it tells you it's not there. So here's an example. If we have this string good morning, and I say, tell me the index of OR, it's going to print 6. So let's see how that worked. Here's OR. So it prints 6. And if I say, hey, what's the index of Liger? It prints -1 because Liger is not in the words good morning, obviously. And if I ask for the index of morning, it's going to say 5. It's where it starts. Okay, so don't overthink it like, oh, it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. It's just 5. 5's where it starts. And then here's another good example. If I search for the letter O, notice there's 3 O's in this phrase. The good has 2 and morning has another, but it just returns the first index. So index of is always only going to return a single number, and it's the first index of where that thing is found, or -1 if it's not there. Questions? Next up, substring. This is how we take a piece of a string out. And substring has 2 versions. The one we're learning right now is I give you an index value, and substring will give you from that point all the way to the end. So if for this string with good morning still, if I said substring 5, it's going to give me morning back, or print, or give me morning. If I did 9, it prints ing, because 9 right here is just the ing. If I print 0, if I do substring 0, it gives me the whole string, because it starts at that character and goes all the way to the end. And you can also do crazy things like this: substring str.length -3. That gives me the last 3 characters, no matter what's in the string. I said no matter what, but if it didn't have 3 characters, it would crash. It needs to be at least 3 characters long for that to work. And then check out this last one. I did substring, and then inside a substring, instead of putting a number there, I used index of space +1. and that returns morning. It's pretty nifty. So this index of is what gets worked out first. It finds, hey, the index of the space is 4, and then we're going to add 1 to it. So now this is all equal to 5, and now I'm going to return that, starting at index 5, going all the way to the end. So you can do things like that. That's about as nuts as it gets. Substring, and then inside of that, an index of. But that's substring when we give it one number. Any questions? Oh, well, here's another example. If you use too big of a number, Java crashes with an out of bounds, out of index, out of range. So here's the string good morning. We know it's only got 12 characters, but the index values go from 0 to 11. And if I call substring 14 with that string, we get this error: exception in thread main java.lang.string index out of bounds exception. And it says string index out of range -2. I don't know why it gives us a -2. But,
because that's the number of characters it needs to go back, right? Or does that apply to everything?
it's kind of weird because you couldn't do 12 either, like 14. If we did 12, it would still crash. So anyway, we don't have to worry about the number -2, but index out of bounds. So you might get this error and then go, oh, I don't remember that. We're not allowed to go too big. Okay, so now here's another version of toString. This is our third new thing. We had index of, and then we had, sorry, not toString, substring. We had index of, and we had substring with one number. Look at the top, there's 2 numbers. I give int start and int end. So this one, there's going to be 2 numbers, and you look down here, all of them have 2 numbers. When you have 2 numbers, Java starts at the first index and goes up to 1 less than the second index. So if I said substring 5,7, it's not going to give me MOR, it's going to give me just MO, because it goes 1 less than the second number. Sorry, that's just what it does. But you'll memorize it, you know? And if I do 1,4, it's going to give me good. Ud, sorry, not good, because the first character is 0, so it starts at 1 and goes to 1 less than 4, which is ud. And if I did 11,12, it's going to give me G. It doesn't crash. It's okay on a substring to use 1 more than what it has because it's doing 1 less than that. I think they're planning on you sometimes using a dot length in there and having it be, you know, at the end. And then here's a kicker. If you want the first character of a string, you can always get it by doing substring 0,1. That will always give you the first character of a string, right? Because 0 means start at character 0. And let's go up to 1 less than the number 1, which is 0. So it's like saying 0. It's like just 1, 0. 0,1 gives you the first character. 1,2 gives you character 1. 6,8, 6,7 gives you character 6. Anything where they're just 1 apart gives you the first character. So I just said it again. If you just want a single character, say at index n, you can say substring n, n plus 1, and it'll give you that character. This, by the way, all these things are just things you're going to just have to practice and get used to and memorize. You just get used to it with practice. 2 more methods. Dot equals. Dot equals is how you can tell if 2 strings are the same or not. You can't use 2 equal signs like you can with primitives. And we haven't had an occasion to do this yet, but we will. But for now, we're going to print things using dot equals, and they'll print either true or false. True if they're the exact same string, and false if they're not. Bottom line, the reason we have to use dot equals is if you're going to compare 2 object variables, you have to use dot equals. And if you're comparing 2 primitive variables, you have to use 2 equal signs. So we'll beat this horse all year long. I'll keep reminding you. But if you're going to check if 2 strings are the same, you have to use dot equals. And you just do the first variable, in this case, animal1 dot equals, and then put animal2 inside the parentheses. And If animal 1 and animal 2 were the same, it would say true, but in this case, it's dog and cat, so it prints false. But see, animal 1 and animal 3 are both dog, so if we did animal 1 dot equals animal 3, we'd get a true. This will be easier to practice and use when we learn about conditional statements. I think that's next chapter. The last thing we've got is something called compare to. And compare to, one sec. Compare to compares two strings and tells you which one comes first in the alphabet. So if you were having to sort some things, you could use compare to say, oh, does this go before that? So here I've got 3 words, apple, banana, and donut. And there are variables with the first letter just to keep track. So if I did A dot compare to B, so compare to, bottom line, it's going to give you a negative number, or it's going to give you 0, or it's going to give you a positive number. If it gives you 0, it's like a dot equals saying they're true, that it's the same. 0 means they're the same. But if you get a negative number, it means the first variable comes before the second one in the alphabet. And if you get a positive number, it means the other way around. So let's look at our examples. If I do A dot compared to B, apple compared to banana, we get a -1 because A is earlier in the alphabet, right? It's 1 letter. In fact, -1 tells you it's 1 letter earlier. And if we did D dot compared to A, so that's donut comparing it to A, we get +3 because D is 3 letters ahead of A in the alphabet. So I will tell you this, more important than memorizing how many letters we are, the main thing you care about on these usually is if it's positive or negative or 0, because 0 means they're the same. It's just like doing a dot equals and getting a true back. But if you're having to decide which thing is higher or lower, then you don't care usually how far it is. Like I don't ever pay attention to it's a 1 or a -1 or something. It's like, is it negative? Is it less than 0? Or is it positive? Is it greater than 0? Those are the things that really matter. So here's a summary. The number one key thing is you're either going to get a negative number, a 0, or a positive number when you make this call. Negative number means the first string comes before the second string in sort order. And 0 means they're the same. And a positive number means the first comes after the second. And it doesn't try to rationalize all the other letters. Like it kind of goes to the first difference and then just reports on that. Like obviously there's a P, P, L, E in apple and A, N, A, and A and banana. But it's like I'm going to stop at the first difference, which is the first letter in this case. I'm going to tell you how far apart the first letters are. So, okay. So I'm going to post the day 10 string methods practice REPL. And I may have you do yet another thing. So I would, be working on everything, get as much done as you can. I don't want to load you up on a 3-day weekend, but I also don't like it when everyone's done and there's 20 minutes to go. So the slide deck is coming on this one, by the way, so you have access to that. Good luck. Have fun with learning, practicing all these string things. There's help videos posting in like 10 minutes. And I don't know. I may or may not give you something else right now. I feel like it's probably enough, but hey, yeah, you don't have to ask. Just get the pass and go. Thanks. Michael, you gonna just turn in on the map one? I mean, maybe you did, but it shows that it's there, but not turned in. Got it. Thanks. Folks, you could also look in areas and see if you're missing anything and then work on that stuff if you finish early. I accept late work without penalty up to the day of the quiz, and then I don't accept it anymore. But those of you who haven't taken the quiz yet, you still can be doing your missing work if you have any.